Hi guys, what's up? Zach here. Today we are here with a video talking about the 2014 regulations for Formula 1. Obviously, New Year starts tomorrow and the whole new year of Formula 1 starts at the end of January with the new car unveilings and also the Jerez test. But before talking about any of that, I just want to say about Michael Schumacher. It's a horrible accident that happened a couple of days ago, and I wish him the best of luck in his recovery, and hopefully he can pull through it all. And my thoughts are with friends and family, and obviously him. And hopefully he pulls through that injury, and hopefully everything will be all right in the end. But I realise it is a very serious injury, but we've got to put all our wishes to Michael Schumacher, and hopefully he can recover from his injury. But today's video is talking about the 2014 regulations. I just want to update some of you guys with everything that's happening next year, because I realise there is so much going on. You might have missed something. I just wanted to do a quick update because I was a little bit confused about these rules, so I think a lot of you guys might be confused about it as well. So we'll start off with the engine. So obviously in 2013, this year, we have had the 2.4 litre V8 engine, but next year we are heading to the 1.6 litre V6 engines, which also have a turbocharger, and they rev up to a maximum of 15,000 RPM. Now, these only produce 600 horsepower, so that's 150 less than last year, so that's quite a big difference. So we can expect the base car to be quite a lot slower. But they have got the energy recovery system, which we'll talk about in a minute, which actually will most likely make up for a lot of that time which has been lost because of the horsepower, the lower revs, and also the smaller engine. So we'll talk about that in a minute, but the engine is smaller. We've got a turbocharged engine. I think this is going to be a big thing for next year because obviously the engines probably won't be too reliable, so it's going to be interesting to see which manufacturer of the engines brings out the best engine that's the most reliable, because that could be the car that ends up winning the championship just because they have the reliable engine, maybe not even because they're the best car, but just because the car actually makes it to the end of each race. So engines, a big thing to look out for next year. We've heard some previews of them. They don't sound the best, but it should be a pretty interesting thing to have the turbos back, and I think actually it should provide some good racing, especially with the energy recovery system I'll talk about in a minute. But the engines look good for next year. Hopefully they're as good as are predicted, but we'll see what happens. But next up we'll move on to the gearbox. Now, we've had 7 gears in the top class of motorsport racing, in sort of Le Mans and all that sort of stuff, and also Formula 1 for the last couple of years now, but they're now moving to 8 forward gears in Formula 1 next year. Personally, I think that's a little bit weird. I think we're getting a bit over the top with the amount of gears that we need in Formula 1. I reckon they could probably still get away with the 6 gears, but I suppose Formula 1 cars and race cars at the top classes now are becoming so high tech, you need more and more gears just to keep up and everything. So the more gear ratios, it should make it more fun. When we get to places like Monza and stuff like that, we should see one person makes a really big mistake with the gear ratios, then we could have a big mess of a race for them. So I think it's quite good, it's exciting to see more gear ratios in. I know it's not really the big thing next year, but it's nice to see that in there as well. Hopefully it does provide better racing. If it doesn't, it'll be a bit disappointing, but hopefully, as it's a new thing to all the teams as well, things will be breaking down, and drivers will retire from the races. Obviously we don't want to see that, but it's going to make the races more exciting to maybe see someone that wasn't going to win the race end up winning the race just because his car didn't retire. So things looking good for next year. The unreliability factor is definitely there, and I think that's a big thing that lots of people are looking forward to. Now, next up we'll talk about this energy recovery system. So in 2014 they're going to be moving away from the KERS system that they've been using for the last couple of years, and they're going to be going to this ERS system, so energy recovery system. And unlike KERS, which gives you 80 horsepower for 6 seconds a lap, ERS will give you 160 horsepower for 33 seconds a lap. Now this is going to be because of the compensation of having the smaller engines and lower revs and everything, so it's trying to compensate for that. So we're going to see drivers, in places like Monaco, for example, or maybe, I don't know, Brazil, they're going to be on that energy recovery system for about half the lap. So they're going to be having to use that at the right time. It's going to be interesting to see which driver masters using the ERS in the right place, but who knows, this could be an unreliable thing as well. The unreliability factor is a huge thing about 2014. I think a lot of people should be excited for. So, ERS, maybe we're going a bit over the top with all this sort of artificial overtaking with obviously DRS and all that sort of stuff too. But I suppose they're trying to make it better racing. I suppose cars are so high tech nowadays. If you just let them drive around the track, maybe there would be no overtaking at all. I don't really know. So yeah, that's ours for you. It should maybe add a bit of excitement to next year's championship. Next up, we'll move on to fuel. So to promote fuel efficiency, they'll be limited to 100 kilograms per race. Typically nowadays they use 160 kilograms, so that's a big cut. They're nearly getting that's about 3/4 of the fuel they'll be using in comparison to 2013. So that's quite a lot. They're going to have to be saving the engine and the fuel quite a bit. So for people that don't like saving tyres, saving fuel, we're going to have a bit of that next year. I think we might be running the whole races on the slower mixture. So that's that. I think it's just to save fuel and everything as well. Sort of save fuel. Sorry, that's one thing, but also to save money. Obviously, fuel is going to be quite expensive for Formula 1 cars. So that's just one thing to take into consideration there. The minimum weight will be increased for 2014 as well. It'll be increased from 642 kilograms to 690 kilograms for 2014. That's quite a big difference, but it's I think it's also to sort of compensate for the engine. I think it is, so it's going to weigh more. So some of the heavier drivers actually have been complaining about this, that they might not be able to hit that minimum weight limit. They might be maybe at 700 kilos or whatever, just because they're a taller driver. So that's going to be disappointing if that's the case. But I think they did raise it from 680, which I think was the original goal. So they've upped it from there, which is good. So hopefully that compensates for all drivers now, and nobody gets sort of hang out to dry and ends up being like 700 kilos when the minimum 690. So that's one thing there to take into consideration. It's still a very light car, 690 kilograms. When you think about it in the broad scheme of things, that's quite a light car. Another thing to talk about next year is the exhaust. They're going to be only running one exhaust next year instead of two. Now this is to stop the aerodynamic effect of running two exhaust and getting aerodynamic grip through running the exhaust in certain areas and everything. So that's being changed for next year. I think they're trying to stop this Red Bull dominance by sort of capitalizing on everything that they're doing right. So we're going to see what's happening here. This could be a big thing, like, remember 2009, I think it was, when Brawn and everyone had this sort of diffuser and everything. It might be a similar year like that. We just have like one team that was nowhere. Maybe it might be someone like Marussia, then just come to the top of the field. I don't know why I chose Marussia there, but you know what I mean. It could be just a random team, like maybe Marussia or Caterham, that just hadn't had that sort of momentum in the last couple of years to get to the front of grid. Maybe they just managed to do it with some really innovative ideas next year. So we'll see what happens, but that's just one thing to try and stop the Red Bull dominance, in my opinion. Next up, we've got the nose height. Now, for safety reasons, it's going to be reduced for 2014. The maximum height is currently 550mm, whereas next year it's going to be 185mm. So what's that? That's like 350mm difference from what we saw in... it's over that, sorry, than we saw what we saw in 2013. So, the front wing's going to be right on the ground, which, from the images I've seen, it doesn't look very good. So hoping some of the teams bring out some innovative ideas to make the cars look good, but sadly I don't have much hope for next year. The nose height doesn't really look too appealing at the moment. Next year also the front wings will be narrower. They'll be reduced from 1800mm to 1650mm, so that's a bit of a difference, not a huge amount of difference. So they'll probably look similar in terms of the width, but in terms of nose height they will look quite drastically different. And the rear wing will look also a little bit different to 2014 compared to 2013. It'll be a lowered beam wing which is being outlawed, and the main flat will be slightly shallower in the profile. So it's going to look a little bit different. Next year's cars are going to look quite a lot different. Now, I did take this off the official F1 website. I didn't want to mess up any of the stuff I said, so that's all the stuff there, guys. Hopefully you enjoyed this video. Hopefully I talked in depth about everything, so hopefully you enjoyed it. I'd definitely like to do more videos like this, if you would like, that is. And I'm also going to be starting up an F1 news series weekly, talking about F1 news and everything. It's going to be on Wednesdays, but I'm not going to start it tomorrow. I'm going to start it the Wednesday after. So this can be the F1 news video for this week, if you will. So that's pretty much it. Enjoy 2014, guys. Hopefully it's going to be better than 2013. And yeah, hopefully you have a wonderful day. It's been Axe, and I'm out of here. Goodbye. Hi guys, hopefully you enjoyed the video. If you did, be sure to leave a like on the video, it is much appreciated. If you have any comments, be sure to leave them in the comment section down below and hopefully I'll respond to as many as possible. If you want to check out GT Omega, there is also a link down in the description, also some sales on recently as it is Christmas time, so if you want to grab a bargain there, it might be one down in the description. But anyway, hopefully you enjoyed the video, I appreciate you watching. It's been Alex and I'm out of here. Goodbye.